Hello, fellow coders. Today we will write our first lines of code using a code editor that might actually already be on your computer, Notepad. Story time. When I first decided that I wanted to code or make programs and make applications, I wanted to improve what I was doing at work. I wanted to solve a problem. And that's the most important thing. Have a problem that you wanted to solve. So I wanted to do this, but I was very afraid of taking risks. And so I didn't want to download a program. I didn't want to get a virus on my computer or break something, make my computer explode. So I wanted to start with what I already had. And at the moment, I had Microsoft Excel, which is a spreadsheet program that Microsoft offers. And yes, and so I already had that, and I knew they had a code editor inside it. Later on, I found out that there's actually another program that's already on your computer. You don't even need to buy anything. So it is a notepad. Not this notepad, but your first lines of code are already written in this notepad. All right, here are your first lines of code that we will write. So let's just put that into the computer. First, we need to open our notepad. So, okay, let's open Notepad. So first, you'll go down to your Windows screen. You'll go down here. You'll type in N-O-T-E. And there it is, the first option. Press Enter, and it will open up. And the first thing that we will type is some HTML, which is the skeleton, the backbone of any web page. And we'll add an area where we can put a script or some code. So let me type up quickly the HTML, or the hypertext markup language, for our web page. So what we have here are a bunch of HTML tags, okay? And so inside of each of these tags, you can put different information that serves different purposes, but every web page, if it's an HTML web page, will have at minimum these tags in it. Right now, this would be a blank tag. So the first thing you want to do is you want to type something to make sure that the page is working, or that you type the code correctly without any mistakes. So often what you might write is you might write a h1 tag, which is a header, and this could be your title. So we'll call it first lines of code. And so when you write your tags, the beginning of it will have angle brackets. And then so H1 is the number one header. Many websites need this so that some website readers will look for an H1 tag. And this is good for people who are blind if they're reading a website. So it must start with H1, and then to close it and say this is the end of our header tag, you need to put a forward slash. So if you look at each one of our tags, this is 99% true. All of them have a closing tag. So the HTML tag has a forward slash, which means this is the end of HTML. Inside of that, this is called nesting. We have the head, which is here. And you can put things like your CSS styles. Under that, we have the body. And inside of the body, we have the title of the web page, and then we have the script where we will write our code. So before we write our code, I'm going to save this. Now this is what is so amazing about Notepad, is that you can save a text file. Right now this would normally by default be a text file. You can save it as an HTML file, and then when you open it, you can view it like a web page, though no one else on the internet will be able to see it. But you will be able to see it, and you can actually make applications that you can personally use. And if you wanted to in the future, you can make it public and put it somewhere on the web. So here is where it all happens. First, click on File, then click Save As. Now I'm going to choose this location here. I made a folder already, number 68. I'll open it up. And if you look at the file name, it's by default a txt, text file. Just means it has words, and that's it. Words and characters. Now, where you can make it happen in Notepad is you choose Save as type. You click here, you choose All Files. And here we're going to write the name of our file. Then we'll add an extension. So you may have seen .doc, like a document. You might have seen .xls or xlms. These are for maybe for spreadsheets. But so this one, we're going to add a .html. That's a type of file. HTML means hypertext markup language. And this is what for many years was the what most websites used as their file type. So let's type that out. Let's call this first page and code. Okay, and the important part, .html. Make sure there are no spaces or else it won't save. Okay, so if I click save and I go to my folder, if I look, my folder is back here. It has created a web page. Now let's open it. So you can double click on it or click and press enter, and it will open up the page, and we have confirmation that at least part of my web page is working. So now let's go back to the code editor, the text editor. Now here in this code editor, what is interesting is that with most programming languages, they read from top to bottom. So they read line by line, top to bottom. And in some languages, each line is divided by a semicolon. Some are separated by a return, a new line. So okay, so here we are using JavaScript, and we're going to put it inside of the script. Okay, I'll press tab to indent the code, makes it easier to see. And I'm going to write something that will show a message to the user as soon as they open the web page. So this is called an alert. Okay, some people, you might think of a warning. So alert is just a way to give a message to a user. Maybe if there's a problem, you can use that. So whenever you write an alert, you can either put in any words, any message, but you must surround that text for that message in double quotes. And so this is to indicate these are letters or words, and to not be confused with other types of information that your code might be using. So double quotes. Right now, this would be a blank message. It's a nothing message. And then I could say, good job. You wrote your first lines of code. Okay, so normally we would typically programmers would write hello world for each of their first programs just to test it. But we're going to write this message. Let's save, Control S, and now let's go back, and you can actually just reload the page with the new code that you've edited, pressing this refresh or reload button. And there we go. Good job. Good job. You wrote your first lines of code. Click OK. So now, if I were to change this, let's write hello world. World. There we go. Good spelling. Right? And I press refresh, and it still says good job. So it didn't make a change. Why is that? Well, I didn't press save. So always remember to save and check. I press Control S, save, or I'll show you. Press save, file save. Now let's refresh. Hello world. We have a new message. Okay, so that'll be your first lines of code. Now, what could be some problems that could go wrong? Maybe I did not correctly write the HTML. So what do you think would happen if I deleted the right angle bracket here? Would that mess things up? If I save it and I refresh the page, what happens? Okay, it still writes, but let's say I delete HTML at the beginning altogether and save that. Would that run? Now, okay, apparently it's working very well. But now, at one point, it will no longer work. This is actually quite amazing. I'm quite surprised. What if I remove the script tag? Would this even run? Let's save that. Refresh, and here, wow, fascinating. It just wrote the text to the page. So very important that you make sure you include all of the important tags and that they're correctly written. They're not missing any punctuation. And if you have any problems, that may be the issue. So first look at that. Okay, another thing you can do to check if there's a problem, and so I'll make another problem. So inside the code, I said you need to include the first words inside of the double quotes. Now, what if I were to remove one of the double quotes, the last one? So I said, this is text, but I never say when the end of the text is. What do you think would happen? Okay, I'm not sure. So I will refresh, and, no alert appeared. Let's bring it back just to make sure. So let's do our proper testing and save. And now, so when we remove this, I delete it, I save it, no message appears. Okay, so that means that all of the code up until this point here is correct. Everything else is not correct. Now, how can I check? What if I see this, I don't see anything that's telling me there's a problem? How would I know? You can also right-click on the page, click Inspect, and then we have Elements and Console. I'm using Google Chrome. I also like Microsoft Edge. So the elements, this is the HTML. This is showing me all the different parts. And here, actually, it shows us we have the H1, and it highlights when I go over it. That one is good. We have the script, but it looks like, well, it shows the quote is missing there. And if I go to console, it gave us an error. So this is the great thing that the Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge have tools for developers that tell you where a problem is. And here it says actually where HTML row 10. So invalid or unexpected token. Who knows what that means if you're starting? But if we go to row 10, if you actually look in Notepad, it says line 10. So here, just look at here where it says L. I'll bring it up a little bit. Where it says LN, that's the line, right? So if I press the down arrow, okay, and also column is like left or right, line is up and down. So we're on line 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it says, just as we expect, it says the problem is here. And it also says, does it say where? It just says 10, it doesn't say where, but what column. So if I return that back, it's going to work again. And, I forgot to save. That's important. Control S, let's come back, let's save, and we get the message, and then there's no more error. So every time you press this reload button, it restarts the program completely, and you get to see what's going on. Now, what if I didn't put alert? What could happen? Let's click reload. Okay, nothing happens. Nothing happens. We have an empty script, but there's no alert. The alert is a function that's built into the program, and it sends a message to to the screen. Now, what if I want to change this here? It says first lines of code. What if I want to change what that says? I want to use a different word, different message, completely different message, right? What if I want it to say hello world there? So let's now I'm going to comment it out. That's 2 forward slashes. So then it will not execute this line. What I can do in JavaScript, which is very cool, is I can add an ID. So it's a way of finding something in the document. So each ID is unique, just like your driver's license or your student ID card. They're always going to have a unique number or series of letters and numbers. Okay, so This is useful also in programming, where you can make an ID for something, an element, just one element that you want to change. So here I'm going to add ID title, and I'll save it. And now inside of JavaScript, I can get the element that has that ID, and then I can change the text. So here I will say, now when you make a new variable or you want to store information in memory in your program, we use the word let to say before the variable name that you're going to write. So you'll write something like let my first excuse me, variable var. Okay, you can make this as long as you or as short as you want. We can even just say my var. So let my var equal, and then remember when we write, want to tell the computer that what we're writing is actual letters that we're using or text, we use double quotes. And to say this is the end of your line of code, you put a semicolon. So here you can put hello world. And actually, just to test, I'll say hello world, hello mundo. Let's write Spanish. Buenos dias mundo. I don't know if that's good Spanish, but let's try that. So I can actually, inside of the alert, let's try that. I can actually, just to demonstrate how you can use a variable, you can store text or information in a variable. And why would you do that? That's because you want to limit the amount of times you repeat yourself writing the same code. So if I store in this very short variable, this long text, I'm typing fewer characters. I'm saving energy. So I can type alert my var, and that will, what do you think it will display? That will display an alert message that will say here, Buenos dias mundo. Okay, I should probably use a comma or something there. Okay, great. Now, now we have this ID. Back to the ID. We have an ID. It's called title, and I want to access that. I don't want to let's save. I don't want to show this alert. So let's replay. Nothing happens. Good. So here, what I can do is I can make a new variable to represent the element with the ID title. So we can say inside of this document, this is all called, it's the HTML document. We can say type query selector. Actually, so this is the document object and the query selector function on that object. Let's say let element, let title element, I'm making it very wordy, equal document query selector, and then we type in the ID. Now to represent, you put it in quotation marks. To represent the ID, you need to put a hashtag. Inside of HTML and CSS and JavaScript, the hashtag means an ID. And then what's the ID? It's title. So we're saying, I want to get this element. How do I find it? It's the item that has this. So for example, I could have another element. Let's put h2 ID subtitle. Oh, and it can't have spaces. Must be starts with letters. It can have a dash or numbers. Okay, and let's write that. This is a subtitle. Okay, I can change this text too, but I am not accessing that. I'm accessing this one here. Okay, if I want to access this one, I'll have to use that one. So I'm accessing this, I'm getting that element, and now let's change that text. So now we can say title element, and we can change the text inside the HTML. Dot inner HTML equals my var. Let's see what happens. Okay, save, and let's see. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Wow, amazing. Okay, it changed. It said Buenos dias mundo. So we had the code that was already written. We had inside the HTML, it said first lines of code, but that was written up here. But you see, it goes line by line, and it went down, and down here it changed it. Now, what if I didn't want to change title? I want to change subtitle. Then I would access that subtitle ID. Okay, and now when I save it, what do you think will happen? Well, I refresh, and now this was not changed, first lines of code, but the second one was. Amazing. All right, there you go. So inside of Notepad, you can write code. It's already on your computer, or most people have it on a computer. If you have Windows, it's probably there. You don't need to pay for anything for it, but you can start. Now, if you want to learn more code, if you want to get really good with the basics, the fundamentals, I strongly recommend freecodecamp.org. They have great stuff for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And once you get started with that, you'll have a good base. But of course, have a project, have a goal where you can work. So let me just find that quickly on the web. Let's go to freecodecamp.org. Press enter. And yes, here you go. You can actually start practicing for free. It's easy to use, and yeah, I've appreciated it. Okay, thank you so much. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.